another one.
So, this question is, what does it mean to be a security champion? And let me give you some context before we jump in. So, the context of the question is, I'm a senior software engineer. I have never worked directly on a security product, but most of my career is at cybersecurity companies, even to this day. So naturally, I have some security oriented knowledge. I was offered by my company to attend a security course with the purpose of becoming a security champion for my team. I don't have a syllabus yet. All I know is that this course will span over 15 sessions in the coming months. As the title suggests, I would like to hear from your experience as security champions working with a security champion, how this job title is reflected in your or their work. What I might learn in the course, or what topics you think I should pay attention to the most. All right. Have at it.
Okay, so when I hear security champion, I hear tool champion, and that's something that is heavily used in your developer world, right? Um, so to me, a security champion is a marketing term. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's a marketing term that they're choosing to use to I guess to identify a security envoy or person that is proselytizing security throughout the enterprise, but also being a security focused person within the environment to which they're tasked, right? So I just said the same thing 4 different times. Sorry. um how I have come across or experienced these different types of people, um it's probably three to fourfold, right? So from the sales perspective, right, you got your sales engineers that's out there, that's bent on, or that's very knowledgeable on the deliverables, from a security perspective of a product, any product that you have. When we're talking about internally, the application team, your dev team, you'll have a security focused team that's aware of OWASP's top 10 and different security concerns that are specific to your enterprise or whatever product that you service that you supply. So if we're talking software as a service or infrastructure as a service, we understand that these two things are services that are provided, but have two different security roadmaps that have been applied to them in order to properly lock down that information. Um, if we're talking about, all right, so I talked about three, and then like the fourth is when you're talking about your internal security team relative to the overall security of the network that's being supported, or the intranet of your environment. So we're talking mobile device management policies, as well as data DLP, or data loss prevention approaches across the enterprise, and making sure that we're not only properly educated on the threats that we may encounter within the field or sector that we operate within, but we're internally ensuring that the people who are a part of our organization are following best practices, to include lease access, blah 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 blah. With 15 interactions or courses or studies or training opportunities, um, I would say that what you focus on, I would say yes, focus on everything that you can. Take copious amounts of notes. I know that that sounds ridiculous for me to say, pay attention to everything, but when we look at security overall, security is a very layered and nuanced approach. The one thing that you learned or the one thing that you forgot, right, is a lot of the time the thing that you're gonna need to pull out your pants to address XYZ threat, right? So um when we start talking about things to look out for. Look at new emerging and current threats that they're addressing that's relative to your sector, right? So if you're in the finance sector, like try and listen to things that are addressing things that transmit or deal with data in transit and data at risk. If you're a specifically security focused team, the zero trust model and its iterations as being presented within this organization might be some of the things that you're interested in and taking specific notes to. Without knowing specifically like what you do, it makes answering the question that much harder. But I think that the information that I provided would give you enough information to cater to your specific environment. And I'll turn the mic over to Don.
Yeah, a lot of what Sock said pretty much covered it. What I would consider a security champion as a developer is someone who knows how to write defensive code, secure code. Um, Also on the CICD side of things, understanding what's going, constantly going and changing in your code base. Um, from the eyes of a security researcher, one of the number one things I look for is secrets, bad code, ways of creating, putting the application in a state where I can have root level access, So understanding how to avoid all those and how to constantly check for those things accidentally being entered into your system is probably something that you should get really good at, because let me tell you, that's where the enemy is looking first and foremost. Um, I can't. I've done some personal research and found big FANG based companies that all it took is one intern leaking your credential in a branch, right? They know how to invert a binary tree because they're really good at algorithms, but that's one one thing they didn't know how to do is not commit some sort of secret. So knowing that kind of stuff, and also being aware you have to be defensive, is something that you should get really good at in order to be considered a champion, where you will get hacked.
Hey Don, quick question, because you mentioned something that is so exciting for me when you
Hmm.
say secrets, right?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, just talking about how for a long time we didn't have an answer to really transferring or leveraging leveraging credentials within automated environments. Like that's I think what you brought up is a really great point. Are there any methodologies that you think work a little bit better than others when you're talking about the utilization of secrets or transferring or encrypting your code or enabling your credentials to be authenticated by X, Y, and Z technology that jumps out to mind?
Well, there's secret servers. Just about every cloud provider has them, and just using environmental variables rather than hard coding anything is key. Um, so secret servers are nothing new. They just need to be utilized a little bit more. And those practices you were talking about, best practices, you never hard code secrets. And sometimes when you're in test mode, you hard code a secret, and that's where we get you, right? So Amazon AWS has a secrets manager. Google has a secrets manager. They have several third-party open source secret managers that you can utilize to sort of avoid this sort of thing from happening. But also, you have to make sure that it's not accepted into your code environment. So you could use, as part of a pre-hook commit, if anything matches any sort of pattern of a secret, or you can even like define, with a regular expression what an internal secret may look like. As long as you're constantly looking for that, you can always block it from coming in. So yeah, learn that really well and understand that. And you should have, and also rotation, password rotation. That's another known. Like I see a lot of companies who don't have that policy in play, and you find that credential that's a year old, and you're surprised that it still works, right? So
that aids in like password stuffing attacks and password spraying. Yeah.
exactly. Also, like being a tester, I've seen scenarios where they try to roll out their own authentication stack. They write it from scratch. And like, there are companies that focus on this and they're really good at it. And testing some of those is pretty messy. So understanding the different techniques of authentication and the pros and cons of them is also something I think you need to have a better understanding of, right?
Awesome. I mean, thanks for opening up and really talking through that, because I mean, I think as people they hear these techniques and or these terminologies that we use, and sometimes they're like, oh, okay, and for those who know, they know, right? But I really, I thank you for going into depth about that.
No problem.
You know how frustrating it is when you're streaming and you're like doing stuff in AWS, or and you need to use the keys, and then like it accidentally shows up on the screen. Now you have to go back and change your keys and stuff like that. I hate when that happens. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Or API keys from a live streamer.
Yeah, I hate when that
That's happened.
happens, and then I have to go back in and change and that's happened with my AWS keys. It's happened with my OpenAI keys, and I'm like, all right, I guess I have to go change everything everywhere now. So, but you shouldn't have the same keys going around everywhere. So you should have so I have keys for like my Terraform. I have keys for like when we're doing the OpenAI Chaos Camp challenge. Have keys. I just have keys like a key for each thing. So you shouldn't be using keys all over the place. That is another security thing. Don, you mentioned about defensive development. Defensive. Is there any? Go ahead.
So oftentimes developers are too logical for their own good. That's where minds like Socks, myself, and yours come in. We come up with scenarios where developers like, why would they even do that? And our response is like, because you're allowing them to,
Yes.
right? So that defensive mindset, they could introduce more control flow to their classes, their code, to sort of avoid that. Why would that happen from ever happening, right? So yeah, that's what I meant by being defensive, right? Like some of the inputs in given fields, you have to be defensive on there. If you don't want something to happen or your data to get polluted, programmatically disallow it from happening. And that's where the defense comes in, and that foresight to be defensive, right?
I'm going to make a quote. I'm going to reword a quote, right? So it sounds like offensive code gets you into production, defensive code keeps you in production.
Okay.
Take that from
I like
the
that.
Spurs quote.
All
right.
You switch it around. I like that.
You know the quote, offense wins games and defense wins championships.
Should make that a t-shirt. I would wear it.
Consider it done. All right. Let's wrap that one up.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.